Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Unfiltered by Judgment. Today, we're going to be speaking about something that I've heard many persons have an issue with, and it is how to deal with an opinionated in law. Today, I'm bringing in someone special. Her name is Sidani to come and speak to us about it. Sidani?
Yes. Hi, Jade.
Hi. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well.
Nice. Can you just tell the persons listening to the podcast about yourself, please?
Well, I am a counselor for in excess of 10 years. And
Wow.
I deal with a variety of clientele, including folks that are married and have issues with their in-laws.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's good. So we brought you in for this topic because you're the right person for it.
Well, I hope
So
so.
what we want to know is how is it that you define for us who is an opinionated in-law? Who is an opinionated in-law?
Well, first of all, we know that the opinionated person is that individual who is very forceful about what they believe in, their views, how they feel. They hold firmly to their own opinion, and very often you can't get a word in edgewise with your own views and perspective on whatever the issue or topic is or situation.
Mm-hmm.
The opinionated in-law is that individual who feels that they have a lot of talk about what is going on in your relationship with the person that is their family member.
Okay. Well, I know about persons who have opinionated in-laws, who very enough. And it is not only being directed to the mother or the father. Well, the funny thing is sometimes you don't even hear much about the father being involved. It's more of the mother and
That is
probably
true.
the siblings who want to be involved. And
Right?
I've even heard persons say if they're gonna be with someone, they want to make sure that their parents are dead because they don't want to have the experience of having an in-law, especially the terrible mother, to come and run their house and start giving their son or their daughter, whoever it is, direction as to how to do things, what to do. Because sometimes I hear the mother saying, "Boy, well, you're not feeding my son like how you should be fed, or you're not doing whatever it is like how it should be done." So, how is it that persons should deal with this situation if they have a in-law that is opinionated? Not only just the parents, the mother, but the siblings. If the siblings want to be involved, because there are times also where the siblings get involved in a relationship. So if it is that there's an argument and whoever, whether the husband or the wife, runs to the siblings, this and this happen or whatever, and the siblings decide to take it up into their hands. How is these things dealt with?
Yeah, you're correct. So the in-laws are normally, well, predominantly we hear about the mother figure. And in a less with less frequency, you hear about the father-in-law being the person who is involved in any squabble that relates to a relationship or not.
Right.
But you very often have the siblings too. So you have the protective sibling, and most of the time it is a protective sister. To me, it is usually the female that tend to want to have the opinion or be involved in the situation. So you'll have the protective sibling sister most of the times, in my experience, that very often wants to have beef or has conflict with the wife of her brother. But you know how you deal with that? The onus really is on the person related to that opinionated in-law to establish some boundaries.
Mm, okay.
Ultimately, we need some boundaries around the relationship, and it doesn't have to offend and it doesn't have to hurt. But this is all going to be successful based on how you communicate that you need to have this boundary respected.
Mm. But how would you communicate that? Because, all right, so the mother comes to visit. And when the mother comes, she see probably something out of place or whatever. And her instinct is, why your wife can't fix up the house or why whatever it is. What is it that the husband is to say? Mom, this is my house. You don't come in here to run it. Or what? What is that? Because I'm not seeing a way that he's gonna say to his mom that she's not gonna be offended. I'm not seeing that way.
Well, the truth is that the communication may not necessarily be harsh to cause an offense, but it doesn't mean that the person who is being communicated to won't take offense, because the opinionated person is offended whether or not your tone is right, whether or not your attitude is in check. They are just going to be offended because they are not having their way. That is really what causes the offense. And most of the time, it comes out of a situation of someone being controlling. And
Mm.
persons don't like to relinquish control to other people necessarily over their own affairs. And that alone, the resistance to relinquishing that control, causes people to lash out and be upset and even malice you or vex with you. Or very often your sibling, your mother-in-law, that kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
is there a way that you can communicate this? Yes, it's your mother. So you have to be respectful. You can be loving. You can be kind. You don't have to be a quarrel. It's just a conversation at a moment that is convenient. Choosing the right time to have this conversation is important. So it is the moment when you have a loving conversation with your mother about how you are affected. Use your I messages. How I am affected by what is happening. Try not to make her feel like you're blaming her for any contention, but she has to
But it's her
appreciate.
fault. It's her fault. She come and she see do something and she have something to say. It's her fault.
Remember, there is already a situation with somebody who will listen to you. So you really want to diffuse the tension. You don't want to escalate anything. So you're not going to come out batting. You're not going to come out accusing. You're going to have to use a strategy to communicate what your feelings are about what is affecting you. So you have to choose what you want. You have to use wisdom. You have to use the right strategy. So are you trying to diffuse a situation or you want it to escalate? You know what? I've heard people say it's a lose-lose situation with an opinionated in-law. Very often it is true. If that is the case, use a strategy to get your point across without causing anything to escalate. You said what you said.
Yeah,
So
I said what I said. Go ahead. And an important thing is, I would look at it as I prefer also if in a situation like that, I would prefer the man speaking to his mother than, for instance, I say something to the mother. You
you
know?
shouldn't say something to the mother.
Hold on, but really, why? I mean, I already said I prefer the man saying something,
Let
but
me
really,
rephrase
if you
that.
coming into my house, you know.
It shouldn't be your responsibility to fix the situation. Your response, if you say anything to the mother or the in-law, because remember it could be the sibling, it must be the person who you must be talking in a context of expressing that I am hurt by what you have said and I'm not appreciating that you have that opinion or that you have that view. But you have to be on the same page as your husband in dealing with an issue as critical as this. It's his mother. And yes, you're not seeking permission, you're just being, you're lending support to each other. You are together in this, in dealing with this. So even if you say to mother-in-law, I don't like what you just said. And if she comes and say, well, you always have to have these things on the kitchen counter,
Then
so
I'm
them
gonna
not
say, and
really.
why do you always have to have to see it? But
She may come and
um,
she may come and tell you that this is not how to do it. And you always have to choose how you communicate when you see the potential for a conflict.
no,
If
but why
you're
do you always want to cause conflict? That is my issue, you know. Why? What's the purpose of always having to say something? You don't live there. You're coming there to visit or to spend a day or two or a couple hours. What is the issue? Why is
You
it that
know,
you always feel like you have to come and
they're not.
say something to people? Notice, no, let it be. I have never had an issue with a mother-in-law before. I've never had an issue with, but I'm just looking at it because I see it from the same view as you do. If it is that there's something that is said or whatever, I'm expecting that the person that I am with is supposed to say something to his mom. I'm not expecting to open my mouth because vice versa. If it is that my mother comes and says something, I do not want my husband to say anything to my mom. I prefer as her daughter to say it. But the truth is, why do you feel like you can go to a person's house, whether it is your son's house or not, to have says on things that are being done?
Because that's just how they are. We can't change how they are, but we can try to control the situation in our own space. And very often it boils down to you're not welcome here with that attitude or with the things you say. Very
Okay.
often it boils down to that. But remember that people and their personality really have nothing to do with us. It is all about how they were socialized, the family structure and family culture that they are from. When you have enmeshed families, I guarantee you that you're always going to perhaps have some amount of highly opinionated in laws, but they are not necessarily controlling to the point where they come and dictate how to run your house. Because I am familiar with enmeshed. I have friends that are from enmeshed families who are married to folks that are not from enmeshed families. And I
Mm.
see conflict there. But on the side of the enmeshed family, what I see is really a hogging of time and presence more than a rudeness about what's going on in the house of my child. It's
Okay.
usually what I've experienced thus far is a lot of time being spent away from the marriage, away from the marital space to facilitate what is going on at mommy's house with the rest of the kids, and our family do that, and so on and so forth. And very often they dictate when the next family reunion is going to be, where we're gonna go, what we're
Oh,
gonna be
really?
doing,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and so the husband struggles to say, can we not do that this year? And it creates a problem if this is communicated to the family member, to the spouse's mother-in-law, mother or family, to say, so and so doesn't want to do that this year. Then you can have that problem exist, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have this problem, and then they insist, but we always do this, and this is what we want, that is what we do. And you find that that is just one aspect of they having some control over how you live your life with your spouse. They want everything to involve them. And
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of closeness can be a problem. If it is not managed properly, it can be healthy, but it can be a problem. So you need balance in everything.
Right.
But ultimately, the husband needs to, if he invites these opinion and if he enables them by not doing anything, not saying, Mom, can you please? Then you're always going to be fighting with your in-laws about, they're always going to be too involved in what goes on in your household, in your affairs. So ultimately, your spouse, and it could be the wife's family,
Mm-hmm.
but the spouse that is attached to the opinionated in-laws has to be the one to fix it is their responsibility. He or she is the one that they listen to and that
Right.
they respect. Yeah.
Right. There's issues where, all right, there are issues where I'm seeing the choosing of sides, where the parents will say, or the siblings will say, well, you're a part of this family now. Well, this is your family. You just married this person, but this has been your family from you were born till now. So whatever it is that we say, you should do what we want to do and not what the person do. Or if it is that a sibling says to the the spouse or sibling say still, hey, you know that there's a matter and I feel a way about this and I don't like how John put the cup right there. And I think you should tell him to not put the cup there and put it in the sink. Or just giving an example of something. And then I would say, so it's true. And I would seem to take sides with my sibling. And when I go to my husband about it, he would say, yeah, but that's not how we do it. How I change it now. And I'm saying, yeah, but I think it's the better way to do it right now. And then choosing sides come into the matter. What do you think about uh, a spouse choosing side with their family member over their spouse, even if it is that there's a situation and the situation is wrong? Is it okay to still be with and be on your spouse's side than your family side? Because I'm saying this in terms of there can be situations, and I've known of situations where there is almost a split in a marriage because there has been something that was done wrong or seemed wrong. And the family is like, yeah, but your husband is not a good husband or whatever. I mean, it's a decision that was made. The family don't understand it, but the couple spoke about it. And the decision is like, well, you have to choose us or him. So he wants to leave and he wants to migrate to probably, let us say, New York or Bahamas or Grenada, somewhere. And the family is here. And the family say, yeah, but you're going to leave us to go be with him? You're going to do that? And they're saying, yeah, but it's my husband. I have to leave with my husband. And they're saying, no, but you cannot leave with your husband. You don't know anybody there. You have to stay with us. And if it is that the wife say, all right, I'm going to stay here with my family instead of with my husband, what do you think about that?
That is always going to be hard. At the end of the day, you're going to have to choose a side. Whether you're not choosing a side because you're saying I prefer this side and that side. You're going to make a decision about what is the right thing to do, what is the least conflicting thing to do, and stick to what you know is right, what is fair, what is true. But if it comes to the extent where an individual is struggling or cannot separate themselves from what the family dictates are, then that person really isn't ready for marriage.
Okay.
Because your family now becomes your spouse and your children. The other folks that are your brother, sister, mother, father, they are your relatives, and your family becomes your priority.
Yeah.
You have to consider your relatives, especially your mother and your father. You have to discuss it. Are they senior citizens? What is going to be their care? You have to look at both sides of everything. But as I say, sometimes you have to take a decision and look at what is best for you and your family. It doesn't mean that you can't still be a presence and a support for them in other ways. It all has to be organized properly, and sometimes the in-laws will never be satisfied with anything that you choose. But why marry if you are never ever going to be on your husband's side? Then you mean that you need to remain single and remain at home?
Well,
because remember, we're to live and cleave.
Okay. Okay.
And it is an element of selfishness too. When the parents do not launch their children, that is to prepare them for adult life and prepare themselves for releasing them and going to pursue their dreams, their goals, and live their lives with their family. Their parents have not released their children, they have not launched them. And in the cycle, the developmental cycle of life, if you, as a parent, having adult children, cannot do that, has not done that, then you would have failed to navigate that stage of your life where you are to release your children and allow them to fly and pursue and achieve their dreams and their goals. Remember that as they achieve, you benefit.
Right.
As they grow, you benefit. So you have to choose to be with your spouse and your parents, as long as you're not leaving. They may have concern, I mean, they may have serious and realistic concern and reasonable concern about why they would want you to stay here, for example, in Jamaica.
Right.
But nothing is wrong if you put certain things in place to make them feel comfortable, secure, and okay that you're not abandoning them. They need some reassurance. They're old. So what if they're in their 80s and 90s and they're saying, "Yeah, leave me alone. I may not have nobody here."
Yeah, but
These are
the
things
reality,
that
the
you have
reality
to
of the
consider.
situation is that they should have expected it to leave. You're not that parents can't expect children to live with them forever. There's a time when they're gonna want to leave.
That is true. But unfortunately, sometimes um, outside of the context where it is a real need that exists, that the parents are asking them to stay, there is a situation of selfishness where they just feel that my child is my child. And I'm saying, in cases like that, the man need to stay in mother yard for the rest of his life and don't take up no wife. Because the principle that is the foundation of marriage is to leave and cleave.
Right, right.
You're going to end up, if all right, if you're talking about a case where a sibling comes to your house to live, and so he has a different way of, he's an adult, and so he doesn't have to follow your dictates. He believes, even though he's living in your roof, under your roof, breathing your ear for the space that you're paying for,
Mm-hmm.
the husband or the wife needs to let his or her sibling know that these are the standards. Some of these things have to set from early,
True.
and some of these things, by the way, are red flags. And if you realize, remember that when you're married to the partner, you're marrying them family. Hello. And
Yeah.
literally, sometimes you're marrying them family.
Right.
But you have to understand how close this person is to their relatives. You have to prepare yourself to navigate through these challenges that is obviously going to emerge.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to decide if this is the level of control and involvement that you are prepared to deal with.
Right.
Sometimes it's there before the marriage takes place,
Right.
but people just figure that when it comes, they'll deal with it. So you have to prepare
Right.
your mind for it. At the end of the day, you're going to end up choosing sides.
Right.
You're going to end up choosing one side or the other, unless you have to also compromise, have a conversation about these things, all of you.
Right. Right.
So you have to marry to a person who is open-minded about having conversations and communicating. Because you do have some spouse that don't care, and because them can't deal with the issue, it bring on too much stress. Them leave it and leave it to them partner to go through by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That is, you have to know who you're getting married to, and you have to know what situation you're getting married into.
Yeah, so the thing about that, sometimes it doesn't show up until after. It's after you get married,
That's
everybody
right.
want to come live with you. It's after you get married, everybody. So sometimes there are things that don't show up until after a marriage. And it then has to be dealt with now.
Unfortunately.
Exactly. But it has to
Yeah.
be dealt with now after the marriage. And that also in itself is a problem because, if we didn't know about this issue, we wouldn't have put ourselves in this in the first place. Right?
Right.
Okay. All right, what is gonna happen now? We're gonna take a little break and we're gonna come right back. Welcome back to Unfiltered by Jade. We took a break a while ago, but we're speaking to Sidoni about in-laws and opinionated in-laws and how to deal with them and some red flags to look out for. And we mentioned so much, but what I want to know now from you is there any positive to this? Is there any positive to the families being involved? I think I've heard that the since both of them are getting married, the husband and the wife are being married now, the families are coming together. Everybody should work together to make that marriage work. I disagree. with that statement in terms of the fact that I think people want to give too much input and want to run it. So if it is that, and I had, as you said before the break, you're getting married to when you get married to one person, it's basically them entire family sometimes. But I think that people need boundaries where it's concerned. So I can be married to someone, but their families don't need to be involved in the marriage at all.
Involved in what? What is it that you're asking them to do for you and your marriage that you are not able to do for yourself? Involved in what? I don't know that you need the family to make your marriage work. Sometimes you need the family to be very distant so that your marriage can work.
Right.
So what you are fixing? What are you fixing that you need them to help you with? Mind you, positives. The circle is a support system. This here, your relatives, his or her relative, is a support system.
Right.
And there will be time when you need that village. There will be time when you need your the aunties and the uncles and the grandmas and the grandpas. There will be time when you need that. When you need it, you call for it. But they still need to respect your space and your marriage, and they still need to respect the boundaries. So at the get-go, they have to walk into this space and realize that there is a standard here. There are some conditions to meet. I can't do this. I can't do that. No, they don't like that. They have to know and sense it and see it being played out in your space and know that it exists just based on how you yourself and your spouse function. Them know. So,
I mean, I get that, but I don't know. I don't know, because positives for me is, as you said, at distance from, because there can be I don't know. I'm trying to find out if it's really positive to have the family around. I mean, sometimes you need the family members to hang around and whatever, but I just tend to think, okay, if something happened and if I want to run to one of my sisters and say, no, something happened and he and I had a follow-up. My thing on it is, although I'm going to talk to a family member about it, which is helping me, after I know get over that argument with my husband, my family member still remembers. And every time now they might see, oh, you did do that to my sister, and you did whatever. So I mean, until I can see, I don't even know. I mean, personally, I have good siblings. I can speak. I have good siblings, so I can go to my siblings and talk to them about something, and I know they're not going to go back to the person. In fact, if they seem right afterwards, they're gonna pretend so well that they don't even know. So I have good siblings where that is concerned. And the truth is, it's not, I don't tell them a lot of things that happen with marriage, because I just believe that, yes, everybody can be friends, and I don't want the dynamics to change. If it is, I'm having a problem now with the person, and I say to them, I really don't want that relationship and dynamic to change just because he and I are having an issue today. Right? So if it is that I need my family, I probably need him and them to be friends or to whatever. But in terms of being married and involved in the marriage, I don't think I see a positive to it.
You have to, it can be positive. You just have to make it, you have to nurture what is positive about it, and you have to attend to what is negative about it. You have to recognize that there are no absolutes, right? You can't say in-laws are a no-no, because you have some good in-laws. You need a support system at the end of the day. What is required, what is an absolute necessity, is the level of maturity that both partners need to have in dealing with the issues that may arise from having in-laws overall. You must establish the boundaries and the standards. You have to say no when you need to say no. You have to be on the same page as it relates to the standards that govern your relationship and your marriage. You both have to be on the same page. If there is going to be some compromise, because it's a difficult thing to navigate, because some of us have 90% of them nice, but you have the other 10% who we have a little problem with because of their mouth or them lifestyle or whatever. You have to decide to deal with those issues. What are we gonna do? We're not going to. You have to know when to share, what to share, how to share. You have to agree on matters that pertain to both of you. However, each person need a support system, individual support system.
Right.
So you may want to talk to your siblings about this matter that is burdening you and concerns you. But you have to be mature about even knowing what to share with even your closest sibling. And you have to know who to share it with. Some siblings will fight because they look a little distressed.
Yep.
But you need to share it with people who you know will listen and not be reactive, and who can guide and help you to diffuse conflict. You have to know who to share your stuff with.
Right.
You have to know what to share. And you must always respect your spouse in what you share with your family members, your relatives. You have to respect your spouse.
I don't see somebody respecting their spouse when the spouse is something bad to them and they're now talking to a sibling or whatever. Because I mean, we're emotional. So if my spouse do me something and I call my sister, I'm not gonna say, just remember that he's a good man, and and just remember that he has always been me good, and there's nothing really wrong with him, but it's something that he's nobody not going to that. What I'm gonna say is, do you know what Peter do? Yeah, that is the approach that you're gonna go to with. So in the end, you're not going to make this sibling look good at all, because you're not gonna start off something by making them look nice because you're upset at them. So I just feel like if it is that there's issues in a marriage, instead of going to family, find a counselor and talk to. Find somebody
and
talk to who is not
a good decision. Yeah, that is a good decision. You don't want anybody hating anybody. Yes, because you're right. At the end of the day, too, the person who you share the distress with will start hating the spouse, and then you and the spouse make up, and you wish the person would start liking the spouse again, since you and the spouse is sweet.
Exactly.
But the person can't get over what you did tell them, and the person just hates him. So every time I'm walking at the in-law house, it's spared daggers coming out of them eyes because they don't
everybody uncomfortable
that do. So it takes maturity and good judgment. But I agree with you. My best option is to seek a counselor who will be objective.
If it is that persons don't have a counselor to speak to, because the next question really, in fact, the last question really is, who are some other options to talk to about dealing with an opinionated spouse? And I mean, we said a counselor, but if it is that you don't have access to, or you don't want to speak to a counselor, who is the next person to speak to?
The other in-law that is more neutral.
Okay.
So daddy is more objective. That is somebody that you can talk to, even as a daughter-in-law. That will maybe know that his wife has a mouth. And you go to Pops and you say, Pops, can I talk to you, Pops? This is happening and I'm really hurt. And tell Pops one. And ask Pops what he think. Maybe Pops can talk to him wife and say, don't go back over there. Why do you keep going over there?
But then, you know what is going to happen? The mother now is going to say, see your wife come talk to my husband about me, and she run off for a month, and I say, it caused problem all over again.
Can I tell you? That may happen. But if something is going to happen either way, and there has to be a fix, and there has to be an approach to try, there has to be an effort to fix the situation. So yes, if she comes and say, why did you go telling him? How did I come over and say, you're overwhelming me. You are overwhelming me and I am uncomfortable. At some point, you have to use a strategy in dealing with opinionated persons too. First of all, don't try to go toe to toe with them.
Okay.
You can stand there in silence and let them go on, unless you yourself is a reactive person and just can't deal with no foolishness, and you just fly off from them, start tell you and criticize and start have them opinion. Okay. But you have to learn self-control and use the strategy of not going toe to toe, where does it get you? Flustered and frustrated. They can talk all they want. They can talk all they want. But at the end of the day, when they see that you're really not facilitating what their opinion is, I believe that at some point they will not bother with you and they may remain critical of you forever. But hey, you win some, you lose some.
Right.
The important thing is to keep the harmony between you and your spouse so that you don't end up in divorce court.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I just think it's important that each person, whether it's the wife or the spouse, should take the initiative to deal with matters as they're happening. And I mean, try not to even do it in front of the spouse, because if it is that, say, the father comes and says something up against the wife, instead of correcting the father in front of the wife, probably take him aside and do it. Vice versa with the mother and the son. If the mother says something,
right,
because the truth is, we want to talk to them, but we don't want to embarrass them and make them feel
right,
that you're putting them down in front of your wife, or you're making them look bad in front of your wife or your husband or whatever. So, I mean, we can do things in love and keep.
Here is my personal approach. Always de-escalate the situation.
Okay.
Do not try to let it get to a place where there is just nobody listening and no solution is coming to the table. So always try to do that. It is not a weakness if you compromise.
Right.
It is not a weakness. Sometimes out of that comes appreciation and acceptance,
right.
And people accept that, all right, since this and this, and since you don't like that, but I will. Yeah, always try.
Right.
Is it always going to work? Not necessarily. But you know what? You have to try something, and at the end of the day, you need the support of your partner to even feel as if there is some amount of support in your issue that you're having.
Right.
But compromise and diffuse the tension, de-escalate,
right.
And don't go toe to toe. Do not go toe to toe. Silence is powerful,
Oh yeah.
Silence is powerful.
Yeah, it is powerful. Just that persons are not so versed in it, not all the time, because not all the time we can sit there and hear somebody criticizing it a lot without responding. But we have to get to a place where we have to decide, and we have to say, okay, why is this person criticizing me? How is this person criticizing me? Why is it that it's affecting me this much? Sometimes we have to hear things and not hear it, no matter how many times we hear it. Because sometimes sometimes I just believe it's a cry for help sometimes. And I just feel like sometimes people just want to be seen. And there's all sorts of things because they want to be seen and they want to be heard. And sometimes people lonely. And this is the way that they want to be seen, or they want an issue to happen, because some people life not exciting enough. So they need some drama to make their life a little bit more exciting and enhance
it. And some people are controlling, and some people have attachment issues, and they just won't release their children.
Right. So we have learned a lot. I've gained a lot on the insights that you have given. The opinionated party, whether it be family, whether it be siblings. We have learned a lot, and I want to thank you so much, Sidonie, for being on the show. It was a pleasure having you. And for those listeners out there, we just thank you for listening for today's episode, and we'll definitely be on again for next Tuesday. So look out for us.